Hello YouTube, Starburp here with another World of Warcraft tutorial guide. Today I will be going over the more advanced character, uh, pretty much details of World of Warcraft. Not too much into the different spell mechanics and stuff, but just the base stats and general advanced character interface. So, in World of Warcraft there's primary stats. Depending on your role, you will use different primary stats. Some classes use strength, other classes use agility, and other classes use intellect, like I told you. One thing that's true all around is all casters use intellect. So if you're a warlock, you're going to use intellect. If you're any healer, even a paladin at all, you're going to use intellect. If you're a mage, you're going to use intellect. All quick attacker type people are going to, like quick movers, are going to use agility. So that means rogues, because they're meant to attack really quickly, are going to use agility. Hunters are meant to attack really quickly, they're going to use agility. Feral druids and guardian druids are one of the tanks that also use agility. So I'm going to go over that, and I'm going to also go over the talent and role specialization. So in World of Warcraft, you can pick a role. Right now I am Restoration, which is a healing role. I told you this is the one where druids heal with the power of nature. I placed a mushroom down on the ground, and you can see this. It has this area here. So if anybody's standing in this green mushroom, they will receive healing over time. And you can see just all the different numbers floating on me from all these different healing over time buffs I have going on myself. You see? And then as well as I have direct heals that heal me for a little bit as well. So this is pretty much how druids work, and they can do this to multiple people and have multiple people ticking up at a time. Another thing that druids can do as restoration druids is that they can turn into a tree, making some of their heals that are cast timers an instant cast, and making the ones that aren't stronger. So not all the heals will be instant casts, but it will make the ones that aren't cost less mana or even heal for more. And it highlights the abilities that are affected as so. That being said, if you notice, all my gear has intellect on it. The stat in white there, armor, provides a passive damage reduction to pretty much on all your pieces. Intellect increases the strength of your abilities, so all my heals are stronger because of my intellect. In fact, if you sit here right now and just look at my healing mushroom, it can crit, but my healing mushroom is healing for 3,000. So that time it just crit, so it healed for 6,500, but it's healing for 3,256. Crit means double damage or double healing. So that's pretty much that. So it's healing for 3,000, and it just crit for 6,000. Now, if I take off my gear, I think I have a naked set, yes. If I take off my gear, which I just did, notice how it heals for 563. That's because all the spell power I gain for my intellect is gone. So intellect increases your ability. If you're an agility-based character, agility will do it. If you're a strength-based character, strength will do it. It depends on the primary stat of what class you're playing and what specialization you are. Now, unlike in most games, where you pick a specialization and you can't change, not only can you change in World of Warcraft, but you can change on the go. So notice all my gear here, that's an intellect. I'm going to change to Guardian, which is the tanking spec for druids, and it's agility based. So yeah, I don't have to just be resto. I can change to the tanking spec, and I'm a bear now. I have roars and all different kinds of swipes to help me hold aggro. So it keeps all these different kinds of minions that we call ads in World of Warcraft off of my teammates. And I have this stuff that makes my hide thicker. Look, I imbued my bear hide with the power of bark. So I have a moss, kind of like a tree bark armor going around myself for a short period of time that allows me to take less damage. As well as I can growl at a target, forcing a target to attack me for a short period of time that I might not have aggression to. because I didn't get time to get a aggro chance on it. So if you look at all my gear, notice how my primary stat is agility now, and that's the case for Pharaoh as well, which it's the melee damage spec for where we for druids, where they go around in cat form all quickly and can do lots of damage. They're one of the fastest moving characters in the game, next to rogues. As you can see, I'm pretty much like got so much energy. I'm an enraged cat. It's like when Simba found out Scar killed Mufasa. So, and then Moonkins do damage with the powers of the moon and the sun and kind of all like living insect type stuff around them. I can summon a typhoon that literally knocks people back. It's like an owl slash stag. Right now I'm using an astro glyph for it, so it looks a little bit transparent. I can probably deactivate that, but they changed the way it works. So, and Moonkins still have a little bit of heal. So just because you're a damage spec doesn't mean that you can't somewhat heal yourself. You can heal yourself. As well as all druids have a travel form, which allows them to do various things such as flying around and running faster, or even swimming. We can swim. I don't know if I can do it in the lava. Let me try. Nope, it's not letting me really. We can swim and turn into killer whales and sills. So yeah, that's just a little bit of the druid class for you. But yeah, we can use entangling roots to root a target down. We can call down big, huge, giant stars to impact people. We put down Starfall. They changed it too much. I can't activate it without building up energy on a target. But yeah, you can use the power of the moon and the sun to destroy stuff. And again, they use intellect because they're casters. They're not melee. So the other stats to go over besides primary stats is, primary, stats that's going to increase the damage I do, or increase the healing I do, or increase how much I dodge for, etc. and stuff like that, is there's critical strike. So critical strike rating is pretty much your chance to crit, which right now is like 14%. So that's your chance to do double damage, your chance to do double healing. Now certain classes have something called critical strike effectiveness, and that's different. Pretty much it's not increasing your chance to critical strike. That's what critical strike does. Critical strike rating does on your gear. But what it does is it increases how powerful your crit is. So let's say if you have 10% bonus to critical strike effectiveness. So you hit for 1,000, right? If you have no bonus to critical strike effectiveness, well, double damage or double healing of 1,000 is 2,000. But if you have a 10%, well, 10% of 1,000 is 100. So that means that if you were to critical strike, that critical strike is going to do 10% extra, which means that it's going to do 200. Because 2,000, 10% of 2,000 is 200. So it would be 2,000 plus 200, so 2,200 damage, as opposed to just a flat out 2,000 crit. There's abilities, and there's something in the game called global cooldown, which pretty much means that once you cast a spell in World of Warcraft, you can't cast another spell for a while after that. So I'm going to show you an example of that in Resto, because it would be easier. Not all spells have global cooldowns, because some of them are meant for crowd control and stuff like that to make it easier to slow and stuff like that. But the majority of abilities for melee and for casters have global cooldown. So if you sit here and you see I cast Rejuvenation, I'm spamming it, and it's like I'm spamming it. So I'm literally spamming it hardcore, and it's not letting me cast it until a second later. The reason for that is because the maximum amount that a global cooldown can be lowered to is 1 second. So you see here I cast it, and then all my spells go on cooldown for 1 second. That prevents you from being able to spam spells real quickly. So you can only cast one spell, and then from the point that you cast that start the cast of that spell, It's 1 second global cooldown. So for example, if I cast one spell, it already started, and the global cooldown's off, then I can cast an instant cast because that was not an instant cast spell, and then I can cast an instant cast immediately after that. The reasoning for that, I'll show you when it's more noticeable. I'll place the mushroom because that's an instant cast. And I was able to drop the mushroom, boom, just like that. The reason for that is because the global cooldown starts at the start of the cast. So you can't pile up instant cast from instant cast. However, you can do a cast into an instant cast. Now, melee don't use mana. Mana you start 100% of, and then as you use it, it depletes over time. So you got to be really careful about that as a healer. Because you run out of mana, you can't heal anybody. So you don't want to overheal. At the same time, you can't let people die. Now on a melee, for a warrior or a Death Knight, for example, you have something called Runic Power on a Death Knight, and you have something called Rage on a warrior. And pretty much what you do is you build up Rage. It's the same thing with bears, where they build up Rage from getting attacks on a target or getting hit, and that Rage then they use and they spend on abilities. Now, when the abilities that they use might not be the generate rage will be on global cooldown, but the abilities that they use that consume rage will not. And it's the same thing for Death Knights and Runic Power. Death Knights have the ability to generate Runic Power with certain abilities, but when they dump their Runic Power into monster attacks, that does not have a global cooldown. So pretty much it allows the melee DPS burst period to be as efficient as possible and come all at once, but their building period is not as quick, if that makes any sense at all, because you build up your power and then you dump it, and as you're building your power, it's not as quick as if you're dumping, and doesn't hit as hard as if you're dumping your power. So that's pretty much that for the resources. Again, so you know, feral druids use energy, which starts at 100%, and as you use it, it depletes. I guess I can show you that. It'd be easier if I was using something that costs energy. Let me switch over here. So let me see if this uses energy. Yeah, you see that? And how it regenerates. So energy regeneration rate, cast speed, on how long your cast timers are going to be from spells like this, like Regrowth, as well as the global cooldown being reduced to the lowest it can go is a maximum, the least of 1 second global cooldown. The game won't allow but below 1 second. It will kind of do like a little bit of a lag thing. So is all affected by haste. Now mastery, on the other hand, differs depending on what specialization you are. So like for example, and also what class, like different classes have different specializations. No specialization's the same. So if I hover over mastery right now, it says increases the damage done by your cat form bleed abilities, because I told you cats can bleed the target and burst them. So pretty much whatever percentage my mastery is, which is 44%, it's actually 43.56%. That's why it says 43 there, but the game rounds it up to 44 on the enhancement sheet here. It pretty much means that I'm going to do 43% extra damage for all my periodic abilities as a cat. If I switch over to Guardian, let's see what Guardians is. And it's different again for like whichever you're playing. Increases your maximum health and healing received. So healers do bonus healing to you. Ooh. By whatever percentage your mastery is, which is 10%. Also increases your attack power by 21%. So that means that you get to help kill whatever you're tanking that much more quicker, because you're doing bonus damage based by scaled off of double your mastery. So that's awesome. And restoration druids, let's take a look at those bad boys. Your healing is increased by 13% for each of your restoration healing over time effects on the target. So that's right, if you load up those targets with a whole bunch of heal over times, that means that these heals, the healing touches, are going to heal for that much more. So look at that, 31.9k. Let's see what happens when I load myself up, hey? And the healing touch heals for 44k. That would be an 88k on a crit. What's up? So yeah, it's pretty awesome how mastery affects your characters, and it's also pretty useful. So it's just an added bonus. The last stat I'm going to cover is versatility, and pretty much versatility increases the damage and healing done by whatever percentage your versatility is. So the damage that you do to everything and the healing that you do to everything, if your versatility is 20%, that's 20% boost of performance across the board for your character. However, a nice added bonus is that if you cut that versatility in half, that's how a damage reduction that you'll take. So if you have 20% versatility, that means that you do 20% bonus damage to everybody, 20% bonus healing to yourself and everybody else, which you take 10% less damage from everything, from other players, from the bosses. It's nice. So versatility is a wonderful stat because it pretty much makes you stronger, bigger, better, faster, stronger, hour after hour after. Later on, you'll get reses as a healer, and you'll even get dispels. So you'll have debuffs that can go up on people and stuff like that. You can dispel them and stuff like that. Another thing I think we'll go over is pretty much the healing frames and stuff like that, and how debuffs and buffs show up and stuff like that on your allies and you can dispel them or load the. You can track your debuffs that you have up on other people. You cannot dispel bleed, sadly. I think Iron Form from Dwarves is the only thing that can do that. It dispels like bleeds and poisons. It's like they're racial. Night Elves, that one I told you about, Shadow Meld, turns you invisible. So it allows you to clear combat real quickly to drink. You can also use it to get a free stealth off if you're in cat form, because you can't go in and out of stealth in combat, you have to clear it. Which you can do by running away and just not being hit, pretty much. Not have being hit by, like, for a certain amount of time. I can't remember the exact fade in out of combat time or whatever, but it's not, it's like, I want to say like maybe around 10 seconds. So yeah, but that's pretty much that. That's basic World of Warcraft guide for you, and all the stats in the game, and that's about it. I'll go over more stuff later in advanced guides on like more in-depth character stuff in other videos, but hopefully that will help.